What's up, everybody?
Yo, we looked good there. We looked good there, Mike. If I don't say so myself. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Pushed this thing back an hour today, but ready to go. It's a pretty small college basketball slate, but there's a lot going on in this slate. There's a lot going on in the world. Some people are calling it a crash. I see a hashtag on my Twitter. Always love to see the fear in the markets like that. If you're looking to acquire more, like I am, so I don't mind this kind of day. I know some people really can't handle them, but we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll talk a lot about college basketball. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I think that there's a type of tranquility you can take on days like today because you don't have to like worry if you're missing like the next big thing. The markets are down, and if you don't really care about micro movements and short-term action and see things in the long term, like this is just a day that you can be like, okay, I can like go do other things and trying to worry about like missing the next big thing. Like, because this is where maybe you add to your stockpiles, if you will. Yeah. But not really. I don't know. I think, look, as somebody who deals with taking losses all the time as a gambler and see people who, you know, definitely struggle to do it. I mean, Mike, we get comments. People think we're idiots when we lose, which is part of the game, baby. But you know, you just gotta be like, all right, well, at least when things aren't going well, you know, you just got to keep going forward. Like, there's really nothing else. I think it's just part of life. But we got an interesting basketball slate today. I know I'm very excited for tomorrow's monster slate. I probably got to get started this afternoon, but I mean, I'm slammed. I've been filming things all morning from the early edge to 60 Minutes. We talked about Twitter NFTs this morning. It's seeping into real life so fast now that I can't wait until I can't wait till we're talking about this on this show more often. But let's do a little bit of basketball. So let's
college basketball slate. Pull up my simulations if you would. I love how I make you the producer here. You're not quite the ruler, but you're getting better at it.
Look, I'm learning. Watch, you can use like this shift to go back and forth now. I'm getting quick. So don't test me, Mike. I got this. I'm gonna learn. Right. But yeah, we got a small slate. I think it's like 16, 17 games.
16.
You know. Yeah, if you want to just take a snapshot and run and not join the Discord, like whatever. But yeah, you should join the Discord. I'm sure Mike will drop a link in the chat. He posts these every day, various times. But you know, they do come out usually before most games tip off. You have a good amount of time to check your edges. I like to run this with a lot of other models, my own, create my own projections with them. So let's take a look, see if we can find anything. I don't know, Mike. I know you just posted them like a couple, like 25 minutes ago. So let's see if we can find any edges, maybe place a few bets and have a good time. Happy Friday. Let's go.
Well, let's start. There's so few games. We're just gonna sort of run down the list of the Sims just because it's easy to do on this day where we're not scrolling through. Start with the big one. It's Michigan State, Wisconsin. I think that this one has a ton of interest. I've seen some wild numbers on the total in this one. Some varying numbers across different models. I still have a little bit of an edge on mine where it's at. I'm not quite as low as some of the others that I've seen, but I'm leaning towards the under in this game. These Big Ten games get into conference play. Things tighten up a little bit. Expect some defensive battles. I thought going into this, I might have Wisconsin rated a little higher than I do. Minus 3.7 is what I make them right now. Yeah. Man, they have been on an absolute tear. We talk about this on this show quite a bit about how you're betting into teams at like absolute peak value. Look at what Wisconsin has done recently.
I know.
I mean, I shouldn't even say recently, just the entire season, right?
They're
like
on fire.
just absolutely on fire, which is probably why I was expecting to have a little bit bigger number than the -3, which is where it's at. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I think this is tight. I think this is close. I know I saw some leans, like these slight leans towards Wisconsin are pretty popular, right? You're getting this at 3 right now, so like half a point lean. That's not really much. It's very slight. Like I would never play a model lean at a half point just because that's not the model liking it. That's variance at its finest. And a little bit of error and everything like that, but whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think Wisconsin's a little scary here. I think the play is probably the under. It's gone under 4 the last times these teams met. Conference play, it's going to be slowed down. Every possession's probably going to matter more, is what I would anticipate, which does lead to unders. They're going to be like strategizing. I don't think you're going to see a lot of early in the shot clock, like deep threes, like just chucking them. Like these teams probably just aren't going to be like that. They're going to go hard for this win. So yeah, I think I probably take the points. If you can, I liked 3.5 with Michigan State a lot more. Again, 3 is just such a crucial number because it's a full possession. So yeah, I would probably lean Michigan State just because there's going to be a lot of that. Everyone's going to be on Wisconsin. I want to look at the money really quick. According to Action App, it is 63% of the money on Wisconsin and 37% on Michigan State, but it's almost evenly split. So I don't know. I'm staying away. I do not have a bet on it. It's a good line, I think.
Looks like it's moved to 2.5 on FanDuel. I think that a lot of people are definitely buying on Michigan State at this point. Again, you're paying peak value if you want to bet on Wisconsin. Like a preseason line on this, probably, I won't say it's completely flipped, but it's certainly a pick 'em. That's how much they've moved throughout the season based on their success. I'm going to lean towards the under, though, pretty good on this. Other models, like I said, I see other models have this one all the way up to 6 on Wisconsin side.
Yeah,
that's a bit much. Obviously, it's using a lot of their recent results in there. I'm using a lot longer data with some of the stuff that I'm doing. But so I think my number's correct where it's at 3.7. Like if it gets to 2, as much as I don't want to bet against the sharp side of Michigan State, I'd probably still take Wisconsin to get it done by under 8. But I think like the under a lot. Stronger play here if you can still find 139.5.
Yeah. So a tool that I like to use to not really have to do a lot of work, which is what tools are for, right? They make you do less work. But to understand how teams are playing recently, I use Jeff Sagarin's model a lot. It's free with USA Today. You don't even need to pay for US. This is a free website hosted on usatoday.com. Just search Sagarin. Go to his conference rankings, which are really effective during conference play. And at the bottom, he does matchups every day. They're posted like in the early mornings. But he has a recent index alongside his like general prediction indexes. And he has this as a 6-point win for Wisconsin based on recent play. So you're seeing maybe why there's going to be a lean there. If you really like how they're playing, they are playing about 3 points better right now than they usually are expected to in the long run. So that's why you're going to see a model like Mike's maybe have a number like that, because in terms of like a generic scenario where their like momentum and everything isn't factored in, they should be 3-point favorites. And the market's going to put it there because, this is Michigan State. This is going to be a battle. So I don't know. I think it's a good pass. This is going to be a great game. I want to watch this one. This is a really cool one to watch to get better at betting these teams, which is going to be important come March when this is all that's on. So.
Yep. Say the name of the site again. Again, these are to clear it up. We have people trickling in. These are the simulations from my model. Justin was talking about a different model, but I robbed CVS, which looks like he's a first-time chatter. Nice to see you there. Can you go over that site again that you were referencing?
Sure. I can pull, Mike. I can pull it up. So let's do this. Where did I wait? Oh, I just stopped it. I'm no jeweler, but I can do this. I promise you. So
yeah, it's part of USA Today, but it's a guy's name. I don't use it. I've never.
It's literally sagarin.usa.com, and you can literally just Google Jeff Sagarin, and
Okay.
it'll take you to his pages. He has lots of different models. It's all free to access. He's actually, one of the higher regarded ones. His models do usually match up with like Ken Palm, who's probably, I would say, number one in terms of like prestige and regard in the industry. Like everybody talks about Ken Palm. That's like $20 a year. If you really want to do all this stuff yourself and start to make your own conclusions and look at different models, those are both really good ones. I also use Haslametrics, which is this one, Haslametrics. But they're all great. Like they're all really interesting. They're all really good tools. Use them with Mike's numbers, compare and contrast. I do a lot of like analysis on these models to see when they're successful, when they're not, when they're hot, when they're cold, how far off they are. These are all like very valuable bits of data that my systems use. So trying to understand different scenarios, but so look, I just love mixing and matching data to try to find results. That's like my favorite thing in the world to do. But all right, let's not spend too much time on that.
One thing I want to note on that too, I actually don't use any of them. I know for some of the pace of play data, but none of it is like incorporated in my simulation.
Okay.
And then to the point of Ken Palm, which obviously is great. That's the whole objective though, right?
Right.
To beat college basketball consistently, you have to beat Ken Palm. You have to be better than Ken Palm, or else you're not going to beat college basketball on a large scale. So that is obviously what I attempt to do with the simulations. So just understand that a sports book, some of them actually purchase the data directly from Ken Palm and get that's how they set
because they can't like use it like without like, if they were to just steal it, it wouldn't technically be okay. So they literally work with these odds makers, bookmakers, their models can predict games, right? So the big ones get deals with sports books to set lines, to be the providers. And Ken Palm, normally when lines open, you'll find that 95% of the lines are within at least 1 point of where he makes them, if not half a point or dead on. So it's pretty cool to look at. And as you bet college basketball for a while, you really start to realize, oh, it really is just, can you beat Ken Palm? It's like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? But the fifth grader's Ken Palm. All right, let's keep moving. Let me pull these simulations back up here, and we will get back to it. But yeah, I think that's a good stay away on that first game. Let's talk Illinois, Maryland. We're going to hit the big ones today, I think, mostly. I have a couple picks that I'll share too. But what do you think?
Probably biggest piece of news we've had in a while, right? With Coburn out.
Yeah, that is. It's a big piece of news. And I think, people are still going to think that Illinois can do this. But I mean, Coburn's a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a monster. So I don't know. I think they might have trouble. They could have trouble. Shout out Tim Splant. Happy Friday, dude. Appreciate you stopping Friday
in. What's up, man? This game though, let's talk about it quickly. We've seen a lot of movement. Maybe in my opinion, not enough. So this thing opened 7.5 and we're sitting at 7.5 currently. 3 full points for Coburn being out. It also dropped the total by 4 points. The totals come all the way down to 137.5. You'll see in my sims, I have this up to 139.3. Not going to necessarily recommend playing the over now. Again, this opened at 141. It would have been a slight lean on the under. Now it's a slight lean on the over. That should tell you mostly pretty efficient and probably a good spot to avoid at this point, personally. I don't know how Justin will feel about it, but I have minus 3.9. So I'm showing a little bit of value on Maryland still if you want to do it. Just understand you're obviously chasing the steam, chasing the injury situation. This thing started at 7.5 and has moved. So if you're seeing the 4.5 now and thinking and seeing that Coburn is out, you need to understand that that's already been priced in here at this point. So yeah. I still lean towards Maryland at 4.5, but would love to see your thoughts on it because I think that Coburn is such a difficult player to really capture how much he's worth to a team here at this level of play.
Well, they played recently too, right? So these teams matched up on January 6th, which is literally like 2 weeks ago, right? So they definitely are going to see a ratings dip without Coburn on the floor. That's undeniable. But I think this Maryland team is having a little bit of trouble. I mean, they lost to Rutgers on their own floor. They lost to Wisconsin by 1 on their own floor, and they were favored. So, I mean, those are their last 2 home games. I think this is a good team coming in here in Illinois. And yeah, they're going to miss Coburn, and yeah, it's going to be a little tougher, but they play good ball. They have other good players. They're going to make it work. My intuition says stay away when something like that gets a little weird. I understand, if you can jump on the 7 points quickly as the news gets launched, yeah, of course, like beat the book. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good strategy if you can do it. But it's also not like, I don't know. I just want to stay far away. Anything could really happen with this one. There's a lot more variance here, how the team's prepared, what they were prepared for, what's happening now. It just becomes less predictable in my mind. And I don't like to bet less predictable games when I have a chance to. So I don't need extra factors in here. But all right, what do we think? Fresno, we can get into Fresno, Nevada. I don't really much like that game. The slate kind of falls off a cliff, in my humble opinion.
This one is a classic wrong team favored in the model kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sit -1.5. I mean, it's flipped also. That's the thing you need to note.
Yes.
I did open -2, which is close to where I have it, -1.7 on Fresno. Now you're getting +2 with Fresno State if you want to take that ride. I don't have a ton of thoughts on it other than we see this often where I think that the model's probably correct and where it opened. We've also seen a ton of movement towards the over in this one. So to the point where I would recommend playing the under. This one's up to 138.5 at MGM. I believe. Yeah, MGM has it 138.5. That's a pretty good number here with a 133 in the Sims. So once you get to that point, that's where I would lean.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree. I think it's just easy enough at this point to fade Steam because the models are usually on, and unless there's like a real reason, I don't know. But these lines are still kind of like moldable, right? Like action moves them. It's just the truth. Like these lines aren't resilient. There's not a lot of handle on them. They do move with big bettors and groups hitting them. It does happen. So you can sort of take the value on the other side. Again, because the book's sort of more making their position a little bit better rather than necessarily trying to perfectly model the game. I guess it's a balance, right? So I don't know. I prefer, especially in college basketball with how crazy it is, like fading Steam definitely as someone who's like watched thousands of results come in over the last 6 weeks. It feels like fading Steam has been a lot better than chasing it this year. I don't have data on that. That's something that I want to start adding and tracking. That would be really cool for market movers. It's on my list for next year's season. We're still in like really the second version of my model for this season. So by the time I have it running again for next year and we can add some functionality, maybe with like getting lines and updating it over time and actually tracking line movement versus results. I think that's going to be really cool. It's on my list. So yeah, but all right, let's talk about a couple games that I like. I think we're probably only going to be here for about 10 more minutes. It's going to be a short one today. What do you think about this Toledo game here?
Yeah, I knew that's the one we were going to talk about just because the model seems to like this. About a 3-point edge. I believe it's sitting 4.5 in the market at this point.
Sean, I can't pull that comment up, but yeah. It's there's a lot of value here. I grabbed it last night, 4.5. This is one of my plays today. I don't know how you're gonna go against. I know Ohio looked good against Miami of Ohio in their last game, and I actually hit that money line play. But man, I don't know. This is a clear play to me for the model. I took it non-model myself, and now that I see this, I'm even more excited. How are you fading this Toledo team right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the number, there's some good value, and I still think there are a number of scenarios where they don't cover this, but that's certainly the direction I'm leaning. I lean there, and I lean the under a little bit. Was this the play that you gave on the early edge also?
No, I gave an under today on the early edge actually.
Right, but what game was your under in?
Oh, sorry. Why am I blanking? You're putting me on the spot here. Let me look. It was.
I'm pretty sure it was this game.
No, it was Kent State Buffalo.
Okay, same legs. Chief's calling you out.
He doesn't like that bet. We're in trouble, guys. Chief doesn't like the bet. But yeah, I took an under on that on the early edge. I actually really I was stupid last night, and I had another under that the model liked. I haven't even looked at what your model likes here on that game with them. Where am I here? What do you have on that?
I don't even know that I have that game run.
Right.
It's not.
I thought I was going crazy there for a second.
Yeah.
You do not have the Kent game up against Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to know, by the way. But anyway, I had another under that I really liked on Bryant Merrimack. That was at 133.5 because I just don't think Merrimack on the road is very good, and I was going to try to be stingy and check if I could get. Oh yeah, they're saying I said Buffalo, and Chief went a little too crazy here because he's ready for the weekend. I like that comment, Ryan. Nice one.
That's true.
He's right. But yeah, I'm not playing that. I didn't get it in, but I am going to be on the one with Buffalo. I just don't think Kent is going to allow that many points or score that many points. They've been a strong defense and a bad offense, and I think that's going to dictate the play more than what Buffalo's offense can do, because Buffalo's been a little suspect, and I do trust Kent's defense. 62.5 points over the last 6 games average, so that 148 or something that you're getting right now is a little crazy. Even if they allow like 70. They'd have to allow 75, 76, 77, 78 even, because they're not getting 70, right? So that's how I'm on that play. I'll try not to say the B word in front of Chief anymore, but yeah, I think that's an interesting play. And then I also wanted to talk to you about, why don't you guess, Mike? What game am I going to ask about? If you had to guess a team that's playing today, who am I going to want to bet on?
Probably Canisius and Ryder.
Interesting. I actually want to talk about my guys at Youngstown State. Canisius Ryder.
Yes.
Canisius Ryder scares me. Canisius has been on a slide. I'm staying away. I know Ryder's terrible, but something's got to give sometime. If they prove me wrong here again, I'm fine to not have money on it, passing on that game. But yeah, let's talk Youngstown Cleveland. I like this. I got 8.5 last night. What do you think about this? It's fallen to 7.5. Cleveland hasn't played tight, has only played tight games.
Yeah, they end up in tight games quite often. It is a big number, at least at 7.5. 8.5 was obviously a huge number. I mean, you're like over 3 full possessions essentially to like really win that one. To not be susceptible to a late backdoor bucket on the final possession. You're literally 3 full possessions ahead. That's tough to do in these games. That's a pretty big margin. So it makes sense why it's settling where it is. Probably makes, I think my simulations are the best. I just do. Everyone that does probably thinks they're the best, right? I think the number should be down to 6.7. I think that if you got 8.5 or 7.5, that you're on the right side with Youngstown State. I just think it's a competitive game. So that's the only way I would lean. And I frankly would still lean that way, even as the number has moved to 7.5 now.
I agree. This is going to be a tight one. I think Youngstown State is live to win this one. We're going to see how it goes. I'm very excited for that game. That is one of my non-model plays today. Not many at all today. I think I only have those 2 and my early edge under, which is like, a fringe model pick. I really like to get like 6 points of edge on my totals. I had like 4.5 on this one. So, it's a play, it's a full play. But it's a little bit like the model hasn't been nearly as good on underplays. Unfortunately, it had a rough day last Saturday and I really haven't even had to try to bounce back, but I did hit. Well, look, let's talk. Did you see that stupid Pepperdine miss? I mean, I called it perfectly. 142 points on the dot. Model had it exactly right. Your model had 142.5. I was like, all right, 141.5 seems a little better. I saw some lower projections out there, some reasons to go a little lower. Nailed it. And of course, it's tied. So I'm counting that as a win for the projections and like a loss for how games go. That should have been clean. And then it also hit the other the other under that I took on Monday that just didn't get published, unfortunately, and that's life. But that one hit too. So it's doing all right. I'm not really too worried. I would consider maybe a first half under here because or splitting your play or adding a little bit of like a third of a unit on that first half under if you're already a full unit on, because the first half unders have been so much safer. But this could also slow down at the end if it's a tighter game. So I'm just taking the full game today mostly. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't really have any other real thoughts.
We have one of the biggest edges of the season on Illinois State Evansville, almost to the point where I'm wondering if it's an error. I don't think it is. We just seen massive movement to the other side. Every time this year so far, there's only been like 4 times, I think, that we've found it where there's like a discrepancy of 10 points on a total. And I believe we've hit every single one of them and like by 20 points each time.
Crazy. Yeah.
But the edge that we have on this is
holy cow.
Huge. So not sure what's going on there. Like I said, I've got to look back and make sure there's not some sort of an error. And I don't believe there is based on where the spread of the game is. So typically, I will say though, out of all the times that this happens, we're typically like 10 points to the under, not the over.
Yeah, this is interesting.
So this one is very interesting. Like I said, so I think it's happened 4 times this year. They've all come in by like 12 to 20 points, like been super obvious, easy winners where the model calls it. This time it's doing it on the over, which is very, very weird.
Crazy. That's nuts. I don't see that much. I mean, there's small edges all over. Nothing I'm really crazy about. IFPW is interesting. Purdue Fort Wayne at home is intriguing. You have a lean on the over there, on the under there, which I think is probably a good bet. But I think Robert Morris might actually win that one, or at least cover. I lean that. I didn't play it, but it's a strong lean for me. Denver or Detroit. Is Detroit playing today? No, it was yesterday. I'm so mad at myself for not taking that Detroit under on the road. So yeah, I think definitely. I mean, would you play the Illinois State? Are you going to play that Illinois State over here? I mean, I got to run in a minute here, but so we can end it there. Are you going to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where we're definitely not going under. Someone in the chat asks over or under. Definitely not going under at that point.
Yeah. So, all right. But yeah. So for Ryan out there who asked if we could go over our picks today, I mean, for me, it's really the early edge play. And then which you can find on Sportsline or on their YouTube. And then because I shouldn't really be like, oh, this is what I put on the site that you paying for. But my other plays are Youngstown, and I also like, who was I talking about? Toledo. So I like Youngstown and Toledo. I have some good CLV on them though, so you can't get exactly that, but I still think they're pretty good there. I like the total plays that we talked about, Mike. I think I'm gonna go put a little bit on this Illinois State game to go over.
Yep.
Should be fun. Should be a good day. I'll see you next week, man.
Should be a good day. All right, guys. See you next week. Join us over on the Discord server one more time in the chat, and we will see you guys soon.